Okay, this is for you, Dave. Anyone else who's interested in learning how to make pizza base as my technique. Anyway, I use the Jamie Oliver recipe, which is pretty much standard to a lot of other pizza base recipes. 1 sachet of dried yeast, better get that right. What I do is actually put it in a little bowl of warm water and just kick it off and get it going. And then a half tablespoon of salt, half tablespoon of sugar. I've got a pint now of warm water. I use baker's yeast, or baker's flour, so I'm not very onto it today. And then I'm using 500 grams of flour, which is going to be enough to feed the family. And then I'm going to throw that into Brenda's lovely mixer and mix the dry ingredients first and then add the water. So I'm going to get the sugar and salt in. I just like to mix it in, to be honest, just so you get the mix of salt and sugar through the entire mix. You can do this by hand if you want. And then the next step is adding the yeast and the water. Whoop, if I can get it right with one hand. Just slowly add that. There we go. Just starts to crumb up a little. It's looking good. And at that point I stop it. What I do then is just change the paddle up. So I go from that paddle through to the dough hook. And then we'll get the, gee, I've never done this one-handed. And then get the old dough hook out, which I won't be able to do with one hand. But anyway, sorry about the bad filming, that's just what you get when you don't really care. Here we go, I'm going to put the dough hook on and then I'm going to slowly add the water. Here we go now, so I'll try and add the water one-handed whilst looking through a screen. And then we just want to pour it in nice and gently. And Dave, just use your own volume of water, because believe you me, over summer sometimes it gets really moist really quickly. Sometimes you need to add a bit more, so mix it in. And what I try and do is make it almost as wet as I possibly can. I learnt this little trick from Dylan, good friend Dylan down in New Zealand, who made a very, very wet mix. So what I've done now, see that's pretty wet now, very wet in fact. So I'll let that mix in a little bit and then just start to add a little bit more flour until it comes back into almost a dough. I don't want to actually make it into a fully circulating dough as I did for many years, but I found it to be too stringy, too tight, too dry. So what we've got there is just add a little bit of flour where you can. On the back so I can at least see it. You'll see that coming in. And you see that just starting to grab there. You won't see anything. There we go. And you don't need to do much more than that, Dave. Just keep it really wet. I'm going to show you in a minute as I turn it out how wet it really is. A bit more flour and we're good to go. So if you had a look at that, that looks, well, it looks pretty bad. But it's just very, very wet. I used to keep adding flour until I formed a nice dough bowl or dough shape, and then that would mix around for ages. But I just almost leave it now. Maybe the theory is the less you touch it, the less you agitate it, the better. So I'll turn that out onto some flour so it doesn't stick all over my hands, but it will anyway, and then let it rest. So that was pretty messy. Now I turned it out, still looking really wet. It barely holds itself. The other awesome tool to have is the little spatula or plastic scraper. Great for cutting pizza dough, great for scraping off benches, you name it. So I'm just going to put a light dusting of flour on that, just to hold it together, and then put it back on into this bowl for about 2 hours, let it rise. So there we go, it's all glad wrapped up, ready to rise. I'll give it a couple of hours. Great little units, these KitchenAid. Really good presents for your missus if you can't think of anything and want to spend a huge amount of money. The good thing is though, for guys, they're great for obviously adding meat, grinder attachments. The paddle's great for mixing patties, you can make pizzas. So really you're buying it for yourself, so go on, do it, do it. Here we go, let it rise. Okay, it's been rising for the last hour, I think, hour and a half. And I'm going to turn it out, flour it, separate it, roll it into pizza dough balls. All I do is roll into a big ball, use the slicer, cut it into same portion sizes until I get enough for a pizza. And amongst all the chaos, there you go, Dave. Just need to roll it, cup it, roll it. You know which technique I'm using. Here we go, we've got the pizza doughs in there, they'll expand further and then we'll push them out, turn them into pizzas. And this is the way I've got it set up. I've got the pizza stone on top, I know it's pretty dark to see. Then I've got a diffuser underneath that, and then I've got the coals down the bottom. And let those heat up until it is seriously hot. We're talking probably around 700 degrees to 800 degrees Fahrenheit, or 350 degrees centigrade. There we go. It's the pizza done, ready for the kiddies. Got to check it, make sure it looks good under there. Oh, it does, nicely cooked. And a nice, almost like fugo. Anyway, I can't hear anything because all I hear is
sorry.
Anyway, that's how to make pizza. It's good.